The Zorathian High Chancellor had a laugh that echoed like a malfunctioning airlock, sharp, grating, and dismissive. It filled the grand observation deck of their flagship as he pointed a clawed finger at Earth's orbital defense grid displayed on the holoscreen. Primitive railguns? Projectile platforms? Are these antiques? His advisors chuckled dutifully, their jeweled robes shimmering under the cold blue light. Ambassador Eliza Kane watched the display with the serene smile of a hostess preparing to serve dinner. She adjusted the cuff of her tailored navy suit, let the laughter hang in the air, then spoke with a kind of tone reserved for kindergarten teachers and apex predators. We like to keep things vintage. It gives invaders a false sense of security. The Chancellor paused mid-chortle. One of his aides whispered in his ear, undoubtedly reminding him of the diplomatic protocols. He waved it off with a smirk. You humans are delightful. Such bravado in the face of extinction. This entire planet is quaint. His mandibles clicked with amusement. I suppose we'll keep it as a conservation zone. Teach our hatchlings about primitive civilizations. Eliza's smile didn't falter. She took a sip of coffee, black, no sugar, while the alien squinted, baffled by the ritual. She had no intention of explaining it. Let them wonder. Humans thrived on making people wonder. I'll be sure to pass on your generous offer to our military. Though, you may want to rephrase extinction when they reply. She placed her cup down with a gentle clink. They can be sensitive. Behind her, the panoramic window showcased Earth, spinning silently, its orbital defense platforms gleaming like scattered marbles. Outdated. Defenseless. That's what the aliens saw. Perfect. Ambassador Kane, a Zorathian tactician sneered. Do you truly expect us to believe these toys can halt a galactic fleet? Our particle lances could carve through your entire hemisphere before your species finishes. What is it you do? Brewing coffee. Eliza's reply was a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You're right. Those platforms are useless. The room fell quiet. Even the Chancellor raised an intrigued brow ridge. In fact, she continued, I insisted on removing them entirely. But our engineers argued that invaders enjoy visible targets. Something about keeping traditions alive. Her voice danced lightly, but every word sliced into the Zorathian's bravado. Bold words for a species still tethered to one star, the Chancellor said, leaning forward, his tone laced with mock sympathy. Stars are tricky, Eliza said softly. They tend to have moods. But we've learned how to direct their tempers. Before the Chancellor could ask, a Zorathian officer interrupted, datapad in hand, flustered. Chancellor, orbital scans are detecting anomalous signal patterns across the inner solar orbit. It's unusual. The Chancellor waved dismissively. Let the primitives play with their signals. They can't hide their inadequacies with theatrics. Eliza allowed herself a polite sigh. It's not theatrics. It's choreography. You're here for a show, after all. The alien delegation shifted uneasily, not fully grasping her words, yet sensing their weight. Perhaps a tour of your facilities is in order? The Chancellor offered, his tone patronizing, like a teacher humoring an overeager student. I was hoping you'd say that, Eliza replied, signaling her assistant. The delegation was guided through the docking bridge. As they passed human personnel, the aliens noted the calm, casual demeanor of Earth's representatives. No tension. No desperation. They chatted over data tablets, laughed softly, sipped from ceramic mugs. The Zorathians mistook it for foolishness. Your people seem oblivious to their impending defeat, one alien muttered. Eliza smiled thinly. We've just learned not to ruin a good coffee over minor inconveniences. They arrived at the Orbital Defense Command, an unassuming station cluttered with monitors, cables, and human technicians who didn't even glance up as the galactic emissaries entered. It was here, amidst the chaos of human nonchalance, that the aliens were shown the defense control interface. A single, oversized red button. The Chancellor gawked. "Surely you jest." "Oh, that." Eliza tilted her head. "Purely ceremonial. No real function. We just like buttons. Makes things feel final." Mockery buzzed among the alien entourage. They whispered about human inferiority, about the ease of subjugation. One even laughed about turning the moon into a trophy. Eliza turned to her assistant, a young officer who nodded discreetly. Somewhere in the depths of Earth's command network, dormant systems stirred. "We humans," Eliza said, "have a saying, never show all your cards on the first hand. I'm sure your species has something similar." The Chancellor's grin returned. "Indeed we do. But only losers hide their cards." Eliza's smile widened, soft and gracious. "Then I suppose we'll see who shuffles better." Suddenly, the station's external viewports darkened, not by design, but because something vast was moving outside. The aliens turned, their arrogance flickering into uncertainty as shadowy shapes eclipsed the stars. Hundreds, no, thousands, of objects were rearranging themselves in Earth's orbital plane, like an ancient machine waking from hibernation. Giant solar arrays unfolded, particle conduits aligned, and kinetic rail lances glinted like celestial spears. The aliens scrambled for their datapads. "Chancellor, the signal patterns, it's not just jamming. It's coordination. These aren't defense platforms. They're," the tactician's mandibles trembled, "they're components of a Dyson swarm." The word hit the room like a dropped graviton bomb. "A Dyson swarm? Impossible. Your species can't." "Oh, we didn't build it," Eliza interrupted. "We borrowed some physics and had a little fun." She turned to face the window, her reflection overlapping with the shimmering swarm beyond. "You see, while you marveled at your bigger ships and louder guns, we preferred subtlety. Artistry. Timing." On cue, the Dyson swarm began its quiet dance. Energy webs flickered to life, creating gravitational distortions around the alien fleet. Escape vectors closed one by one. The Zorathian mothership sensors exploded with warning alerts. You lured us here," the Chancellor said, his voice stripped of confidence. Eliza's response was a gentle shrug. "You invited yourselves. We just set the table." Behind her, Murphy, the AI embedded in the station, spoke through the intercom, its synthetic voice layered with sardonic calm. "Target acquisition complete. All invader hulls marked. Ambassador, shall we proceed with hospitality measures?" Eliza turned, her smile now razor-thin. "Not yet, Murphy. Our guests haven't finished their coffee." The Chancellor's mandibles clenched. His eyes darted to the view outside, then back to the human who had outmaneuvered him with nothing but a smile and a swarm. "I suggest," Eliza said, stepping closer, "you reconsider your tour plans. The Dyson Armada doesn't take walk-ins." As alarms blared through the alien fleet, ambers. The Zorathian fleet floated in a web of their own arrogance. From the observation deck of the Human Defense Station, Ambassador Eliza Kane watched as the Dyson swarm flexed its invisible grip, a celestial ballet choreographed long before the Zorathians had even noticed Earth existed. "Status update, Murphy," Eliza said, not turning from the viewport. The AI's voice crackled in, dry and casual. "Swarm nodes synchronized. Gravitational anchors deployed. Zorathian vessels are now officially trapped in a very expensive spider web." "Such poetic phrasing, Murphy. Almost makes me feel bad." Murphy's digital chuckle echoed through the room. "Feelings are a luxury, Ambassador. I prefer percentages. Currently, their odds of escape hover at 0. The Zorathian High Chancellor, still reeling from the swarm's activation, tried to muster his usual smirk. It wobbled under the weight of realization. "This is a violation of galactic protocols," he hissed, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "You lured a peace delegation into a trap. This is treachery." Eliza turned slowly, arms crossed, her smile professional, razor-edged. "You declared Earth as your training colony before we even served appetizers. You mocked, threatened, and measured us for display cases. Now you're upset the display bites back." The Chancellor's aides flurried around him, datapads in claws, relaying panicked updates. Their fleet's thrusters were overloading against the invisible walls. Power fluctuations spiraled. Emergency exits had become elegant dead ends. One Zorathian tactician glared at Eliza. "This technology is beyond your species' capability. Who gifted you this swarm? Which galactic power stands behind you?" Eliza's gaze softened, her voice dipping into a velvet threat. "Who says we needed anyone's help? You assume humanity plays catch-up. You forget we're the species that looked at fire, wheels, and bombs, and thought, let's try it bigger. You mistook patience for weakness." The Chancellor growled, stepping forward, trying to reclaim the room. "You've made a grave mistake, Ambassador. The Zorathian Empire will respond in kind." Eliza arched a brow. "You're under the impression you have choices left." Behind her, the Dyson swarm shifted again. Thousands of microsatellites moved like a mechanical tide, repositioning with precise menace. The stars themselves seemed to rearrange, forming a halo around the alien fleet. "Chancellor," Murphy's voice chimed in, "I would advise against idle threats. The gravitational shearing effect is quite unforgiving. If you continue pushing against it, we might end up with a decorative asteroid belt where your fleet used to be." The Chancellor's mandibles clicked furiously. "Is this how humanity intends to join the galactic community? With deception and cowardice?" Eliza's expression hardened. "We observed. We listened. And we learned that open palms are often met with closed fists. So we stopped offering palms. You wanted a demonstration of power. You're getting it." The alien aides shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a younger strategist, murmured, "Chancellor, we're detecting energy buildup across the inner system. It's comprehensive." The Chancellor snarled. "Explain." Murphy obliged. That would be Earth's hobby project. We call it the Curtain. A dynamic energy net designed to ensure visitors can't skip out on the check." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. Eliza, ever the gracious host, smiled sweetly. "You've been scanning for cannons and missiles. Traditional tools. But we've been rethinking warfare. Why fire a bullet when you can collapse a corridor?" The room chilled. From orbit, the Dyson swarm subsystems began weaving particle streams, creating localized gravity wells that subtly bent space. It was elegant, silent warfare. The Zorathians, masters of brute force, had walked straight into a chess match where every piece had already been moved. A Zorathian aide, voice thin with panic, blurted out, "We have to retreat." The Chancellor whirled on him. "We can't retreat. They've locked the grid. We're boxed in." Eliza's comms pinged. "Earth's High Command." She answered casually. "Ambassador Kane," a calm military voice said, "swarm formation is 98% complete. Hostile fleet remains stationary. Do you require a demonstration strike?" Eliza's eyes locked onto the Chancellor. "No need. I believe our guests are starting to appreciate the architecture." The Chancellor's shoulders sagged, the defiant glow in his eyes dimming. "We came offering unity, Ambassador. You came offering chains wrapped in velvet." Eliza's voice lost its warmth. "Humanity's been offered those before. We didn't like the fit." Murphy's voice returned, laced with sarcastic amusement. "Sensors indicate rising thermal signatures in their fleet. They're debating a suicide burn against the net. Would you like me to project the failure rate for their entertainment?" Eliza held up a hand. "No. Let's give them a chance to talk themselves into reason." She stepped closer to the Chancellor, lowering her voice to an intimate, lethal calm. You see, Chancellor, humanity isn't interested in galactic approval. We're not eager for a seat at a table designed to keep us small. We build our own tables. We design the chairs. And, if needed, we flip the entire damn banquet. The Chancellor, defeated yet defiant, whispered, "You will regret this show of force." Eliza smiled. "Maybe. But not today." An uneasy silence settled. The alien entourage realized the diplomatic script had flipped. They weren't negotiating terms. They were being educated in humility. Murphy's final update arrived with clinical efficiency. All Zorathian fleet vectors nullified. Kinetic assets are in position. Awaiting your command, Ambassador. Eliza's hand hovered in the air, fingers poised. The Chancellor swallowed hard. "I believe," Eliza said, "this is the part where you offer Earth the respect it deserves." A beat passed. Then, with a reluctant nod, the Chancellor conceded. "Terms of ceasefire?" Eliza's smile was cordial. "We prefer to call them invitations to a more balanced conversation." Murphy snorted. Translation: "We're being polite. Don't make us regret it." The alien fleet powered down, their arrogance melting into bitter compliance. For the first time, they understood, humanity's defenses were never about firepower. They were about patience, precision, and psychological annihilation. Eliza gestured toward the conference room. "Shall we discuss the future, Chancellor?" "Don't worry, the chairs are very comfortable. We had them designed for long negotiations." As they exited, the Dyson swarm continued its silent vigil, a monument to a truth the galaxy had yet to grasp. Humanity didn't bluff. They baited. The galactic stage was set. The Zorathian fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a cornered beast, pride wounded, options evaporating. But pride, Eliza Kane knew, was a dangerous fuel. It made fools think they still had moves left. She stood at the observation window, arms crossed, watching the Dyson swarm shift. What once looked like harmless solar arrays now formed a lattice of power, a shimmering cage. The stars beyond blinked through the web, indifferent observers to the unraveling arrogance below. "Murphy," Eliza said calmly, "I assume our guests are considering something reckless." The AI responded with dry amusement. "Correct. They're aligning auxiliary drives. Likely contemplating a brute force escape attempt. Statistically, suicidal." Eliza smiled faintly. "Oh, good. I was worried they'd learned." Across the deck, the Zorathian High Chancellor fumed, his entourage whispering like nervous birds. They weren't strategizing anymore. They were hoping. Hoping for a miscalculation. Hoping the humans would flinch. Eliza didn't flinch. "Chancellor," she called out, her tone cordial, "I'd advise against testing the structural integrity of a Dyson armored slap. It's not flattering to lose to physics." The Chancellor's mandibles twitched. "You threaten a diplomatic envoy with annihilation, and call it physics?" Eliza's gaze didn't waver. "I call it preparation. You mistook our silence for absence. You believed a quiet humanity was a vulnerable humanity. You never wondered why we stayed quiet." Outside, the Dyson swarm hummed. The first kinetic lances, dense rods of forged tungsten, shifted into alignment, their silos hidden within solar collectors until now. They were crude, brutal instruments compared to the swarm's elegance, but their message was simple. Direct. Final. Murphy's voice echoed, clinical and detached. Kinetic projectiles locked. Surface impact trajectory set for demonstration strike. Target, uninhabited ocean sector, Pacific Quadrant. Eliza turned, addressing both Murphy and the alien delegation. "Proceed." The Zorathian tacticians jolted upright. "You wouldn't dare." A soft chime. A subtle tremor. Outside, a thin silver line streaked toward Earth. 30 seconds later, the Pacific Ocean erupted into a plume of vapor, a column of water punched into the sky, dwarfing mountains, continents, and ego. The observation deck vibrated from the aftershock. Eliza sipped her coffee. That, she said, was the light tap. The Chancellor's bravado cracked. His aides were frantically recalculating escape vectors, but the net had no gaps. Not anymore. Not after that demonstration. This is madness, the Chancellor muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. The Galactic Courts are welcome to schedule an appointment, Eliza interrupted smoothly. We'll ensure the Dyson Armada clears a path for them. Murphy's data streams filled the room with a soft digital rustle. Updated escape probability 0.0. Shall I prepare the broadcast to the galactic channels, Ambassador? Eliza tapped her chin, feigning consideration. No, Murphy. Let's give the Chancellor a moment to digest the physics lesson. Diplomacy works best when the room is quiet. Silence, however, wasn't quiet in the Zorathian camp. The advisors were fracturing, some wanted immediate surrender, others whispered about last-ditch assaults. Eliza watched it all unfold like a conductor observing an orchestra out of tune. You assumed humanity fights with guns, she said, stepping closer. You thought we'd throw ships at you. But humans don't fight for glory, Chancellor. We fight for efficiency. For survival. You underestimated how dangerous patience can be. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. You think this display will secure your place in the galactic order? Eliza's smile sharpened. We're not interested in your order. We're interested in balance. And right now, Chancellor, you're tilting the scales. Murphy interjected, his tone as casual as ever. Chancellor, I've analyzed 12 possible strategies for your fleet to counterattack. All end in catastrophic hull failure within the first 10 seconds. I suggest not attempting any of them. The Chancellor slumped. His grandeur was gone, replaced with the sullen realization of total entrapment. Still, some part of him held out, clinging to negotiation as a lifeline. What do you want? He asked, the words bitter on his tongue. Eliza's answer was simple. Acknowledgement. Not just of Earth, but of humanity's place. We don't want your colonies. We don't need your technology. We require one thing, that you never mistake our restraint for incapacity again. The weight of that sentence filled the room heavier than any kinetic strike. A younger Zorathian officer, perhaps less poisoned by arrogance, stepped forward. You engineered this entire scenario, just to make a point? Eliza's lips curved slightly. Points are sharper when they're proven, wouldn't you agree? Murphy added, it's an Earth tradition. Teaching moments. This one involved orbital mechanics and kinetic diplomacy. The Chancellor exhaled sharply. Defeat, it seemed, was less bitter than annihilation. We will withdraw, he said, his voice brittle. Eliza gave a gracious nod. Excellent. We'll even guide your fleet out of the swarm. A goodwill gesture, of course. Murphy chimed in again, almost cheerfully. Plotting extraction vectors. Please keep arms, legs, and fragile egos within the confines of your vessels during departure. As the alien fleet began their slow retreat, the Dyson swarm retracted its kinetic lances. The gravitational anchors eased, but the web remained visible, a constant reminder. The Zorathians wouldn't forget. Neither would the galaxy. Eliza turned away from the viewport, her mission complete. The humans hadn't fired a war fleet, hadn't launched an invasion. They'd done something far worse. They'd made the galaxy watch. As she walked down the command deck, her assistant fell in step beside her. Do you think they'll spread the word? Eliza smiled, eyes gleaming. Oh, they'll scream it. Murphy concluded, Ambassador, incoming data packets from 17 alien civilizations. It appears we're trending. Eliza chuckled softly. Good. Let them come. We've got more chairs at the table. Behind them, the Dyson Armada stood in silent formation, a message written in orbit. Humanity didn't shout. Humanity didn't beg. Humanity simply waited for you to stand still. The Zorathian fleet drifted in silent retreat, their proud warships limping under the guidance of Earth's gravitational tethers. The Dyson swarm watched them leave, each array reflecting the cold, patient nature of its creators. From the command deck, Ambassador Eliza Kane observed the exodus with an expression that hovered between satisfaction and quiet calculation. Earth hadn't fired a shot in anger. They hadn't needed to. "Murphy," Eliza said, breaking the calm, "status on the swarm." The AI responded, voice smooth as ever. "All nodes remain in active standby. Kinetic lances secured. Energy nets holding form. We're the galaxy's most polite threat, Ambassador." "Good. I want them to remember the politeness." The Zorathian High Chancellor, flanked by his subdued advisors, approached. His regal posture was a facade now, a desperate attempt to salvage dignity where none remained. "You've made your point, Ambassador," he said, bitter yet controlled. "But your methods will not endear humanity to the galactic community." Eliza met his gaze, her tone calm. "We're not in the business of endearment. We're in the business of survival. You came here thinking we were fragile. You'll leave knowing we're deliberate." The Chancellor's mandibles clicked softly. "The Empire will not forget this humiliation." "That's the idea." The alien entourage stiffened, but the Chancellor raised a hand, silencing their protests. He had finally understood the language humans spoke, results, not rhetoric. "You've altered the galactic calculus today," he admitted. "Few will dare to challenge Earth now." Eliza's smile was thin. "They'll dare. It's in their nature. But they'll think twice. And that hesitation is worth more than 1,000 warships." The Chancellor nodded stiffly. The conversation was over. He knew it. Eliza knew it. As the aliens were escorted back to their shuttles, Eliza's assistant approached. "Ambassador, we've intercepted communications. Multiple galactic factions are already analyzing the Dyson swarm's deployment patterns." "Let them," Eliza said, unbothered. "It's a public demonstration." "Should we be concerned about retaliation?" the assistant asked. Eliza's gaze drifted back to the viewport. The swarm shimmered in orbit like an enormous, cosmic snare. "They think today was a show of force," she murmured. "But it was a message. And the real trap hasn't even been set." Murphy chimed in, curiosity layered in synthetic amusement. "Would you like to elaborate, Ambassador, or should I let our eavesdroppers stew in suspense?" Eliza turned, a glint in her eye. "Let them stew. Suspense is a powerful weapon." Behind her, the holographic display expanded, revealing the full Dyson architecture. What the galaxy saw as a static defense was, in reality, a dynamic, ever-evolving machine. Each node had dual roles: solar energy collectors by day, precision strike assets by command. The Dyson Armada wasn't a wall. It was a scalpel. But that wasn't the real trick. The real weapon was psychological. Humanity had crafted a reputation today, not of brute strength, but of patience, calculation, and the unnerving ability to outthink an entire empire. The galaxy would assume Earth had just flexed its trump card. They were wrong. "Ambassador," Murphy's tone shifted. "An encrypted ping from the Beltline network. It's the Curus Consortium. They want to negotiate mining rights." Eliza smiled. The Curus were a cautious species. Opportunists. They had watched the Zorathian debacle unfold and had wisely chosen a different approach. "Schedule a meeting. Inform them we prefer face-to-face negotiations, within Earth orbit." Murphy's digital laughter echoed. "Ah, the irony. Inviting them into the same cage their rivals just fled from." Eliza's assistant frowned. "Isn't that risky? What if they attempt sabotage?" "They won't," Eliza said, matter-of-factly. "The Curus are businessmen. They saw what we did to an empire's pride. They'll come to cut deals, not throats." The assistant nodded, understanding the deeper game. Earth's strategy wasn't about defeating invaders, it was about shifting perceptions. If the galaxy saw humans as unpredictable apex tacticians, conflict would evolve into negotiation out of sheer self-preservation. Murphy processed the incoming data streams. Additional factions are signaling diplomatic intent. Seems we've started a trend. Good, Eliza said. The best negotiations happen when your counterpart's still reeling from a near-death experience. As she moved through the station's corridors, human personnel greeted her with nods, their faces a blend of professional calm and quiet satisfaction. They understood what had been achieved today. It wasn't victory by combat. It was dominance through precision. In the Tactical Operations Center, a private channel flashed, a secure line to Earth's High Command. Eliza accepted. Ambassador Kane, the voice on the other end greeted. Operation Curtain Call was executed flawlessly. You've established the deterrent we needed. Eliza leaned against the console. Deterrence is temporary. Influence is lasting. I trust we're ready for Phase 2. Already in motion. The orbital simulations you demonstrated today were only a fraction of the Armada's capacity. The deep space nodes are progressing on schedule. A subtle smile curved her lips. The Dyson swarm Earth had revealed today was just the surface act. Beyond the asteroid belt, experimental platforms were in play, energy siphons, spatial distortion arrays, and projective stealth systems. Earth wasn't just fortifying, they were evolving the battlefield itself. They'll think twice before challenging Earth, High Command said. They'll think, Eliza corrected. That's what matters. As the transmission ended, Murphy's voice returned. Ambassador, a curious signal has entered our observation range. Unknown origin. Minimal signature. Likely reconnaissance from a non-registered faction. Eliza's eyes narrowed. They're watching already. Should I scramble a response? No. Let them watch. The more they see, the less they'll understand. Murphy paused. You're playing a long game, Ambassador. That's the only game worth playing. The station's panoramic window revealed Earth in its full serenity, unaware of the silent war of perceptions orbiting above. Eliza stood at that window, a solitary figure amidst the machinery of humanity's quiet revolution. The galaxy had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they'd found a species that smiled in the face of invasion and built armadas in the silence of its own orbit. Humanity didn't bluff. They baited. And the galaxy had just taken the first bite.